Hi everybody, I hope that you guys are having a nice week. So today we are going to be talking about something that is really important in the process of healing, and this is the knowingness or the realization of what's really important in our lives. And this is especially crucial if we are living just now one of these challenges that, at least for me, are like keep getting to me like over and over, and especially with, I don't know, like people that are really important for you or that you really love, or it could be like a situation or an experience just now that you are having, or maybe that you have been dealing with for the last months, weeks, years. So this is for this type of situations, because we could get so into we could get caught like into the stream, this spiral that keeps going down and down, and then like the ego gets involved, and then it's really so hard to move up, of this. So I'm going to tell you two processes, but more or less are really, at the end of the day, it's just the same, because it's just like being present with yourself and the surroundings. So one of the things is this type of meditations, and one of them it's from Till Swan. I like her, so please check her meditation. So it's like when you are actually on your funeral, and from there you are actually able to see your life, your whole life. But from this position where there is nothing else to do, you don't have any other projects, you have just left things the way as they are, and then you check your life backwards, and then it's like asking yourself, in that situation, what was the most important thing, and then you can actually check like arguments or like things that were very worrying in that moment in time, and then from the future is like, was that really so important? And maybe the answer is yes, but maybe the answer is no. So this is one of the things that you can actually practice. This is like a bit dark one, but this is one of the things, because this actually gives you more perspective, because it helps you to practice detachment as well. So detachment is actually one of the things that are very important too, because the moment that you are able just to be the observer and not to really be in that situation, like if it was you when it's not, remember that one thing is, this physical body and the ego, okay? And another thing is who you really are, and both things are actually part of the same. So it's not that we are ignoring one side or the other one, it's just that we are trying to get the full perspective, okay? So just remember this, because it could be that you are in those situations where it's just ego and body. So remember, to get the whole thing. And the whole thing happens when you really detach, when you really are not judging, like, okay, I accept that situation, but really from your heart, not just saying this because you think this is what you have to say. No, because this is what you really feel. Okay? So this is one thing. And actually it helps you as well in the process of releasing things, because then you are detached, you gain like all this understanding and all this perspective, and you can move forward. And then you can actually see other things that were happening at the same time, or that are happening at the same time, that just now you can see it because you are blind because of this whole thing, okay? So one thing is that, maybe this was too big of a jump for some of you, but I'm going to tell you another technique, okay? So the other technique is to move backwards, okay? So the first one was actually moving forward. And I'm not trying to be, depressing, like, oh my God, this is the end of my life. And, no, it's not that. It's just, okay, imagine if this was the case, how would I see this situation, Okay, but now the other thing is actually moving backwards. I know everybody, you know, especially in the spiritual field, are like, or I don't know, spiritual field, law of attraction, etc., because we know how this works. We don't want to focus, you know, our energy or perspective on what was going on before, because, you know, this is practicing presence in the moment, like a river. So whatever is coming to you, you are just navigating this, okay? Just moving forward and forward. So if you are imagining a river, of course, there is no point on looking back because the stream just passed. But this is something that actually can work for you. So let me share this, because all of us are different. So maybe this is going to work better than the other technique. So move backwards in which sense? Right. So do you know like a flower? So a flower, you can see this just now, but before, if you keep rewinding, is it rewinding? I think it is. You know, just moving backwards, you can actually see that this was at the beginning like just a seed, okay? So this seed had to have like all this soil and the water, you know, whatever is going on, in order for this to express itself. And then it has lived some things, and maybe like an animal, you know, crossing her path or more, and bugs and, you know, other flowers around and trees, you know, with the pass of time, and now it's the flower that it is, right? So imagine the same but applied to you. So if you look at your life and you move backwards until you maybe are a baby, so your life hasn't happened yet, okay? So the first time I did this, what I experienced was a relief. I'm just being honest, a relief, because then it means that challenges, problems, you know, whatever has happened in my life hasn't happened yet, like didn't happen. So, you know, you can actually breathe, and then you can actually start gaining perspective, because since nothing has happened, you still can't be mad at someone, you can still hate that place, or, you know, like all these dense negative emotions are not there, because all these things hasn't happened yet. So I'm saying this because imagine that you are trying to understand more someone, and maybe it's like someone really close to you, maybe, I don't know, your parents, or I don't know, maybe you are actually working on going to a place that you really are not able to because you actually lived an awful experience there. So try this, just move backwards, and what was this place like before you had that negative experience? Or what was the relationship with that person before you had that negative experience? So if you try to practice this, and you realize that all of a sudden you are detached, but this is important because then you'll get this perspective that you weren't able to have before. So just an example, just talking about, you know, a place or a person. If it's a place and you had a really bad experience, but you remember that, look, before, let's say that this was the beach, you know, you loved the sea, you loved the beach, and then you had that experience, that negative experience, and because of that you stopped going to the beach. If you try this process, then you will be able to feel again the joy or whatever you were feeling when you were visiting this place. But if we are talking about a person, for example, before you had that argument, or that person did that, you know, thing so wrong to you, maybe it was your best friend, and you really, you know, were appreciating all these good experiences and the laughter and, you know, the trust, you know, whatever. And now you are maybe trying to work on the process of letting this go and release it. This is going to help you with this too, because then you connect again with the true essence from yourself, from the other person, and then the process really goes organically, and then you feel just exactly the same that you were feeling. And, you know, from here is really, well, it's easier as well to start practicing other things, like even, and I don't know, like at the end of the day, really there is no forgiveness because there is nothing to forgive. But before we get to that step, I think we need to forgive, just because it's part of the process. So this gets easier as well, because then you are fully connected to you, and then you can fully connect to the other person, and then you can actually see things that maybe you did wrong. Maybe you didn't do anything wrong, okay, but just saying. And then the other person, maybe you can see that the other person was in pain as well, or was living through a difficult situation, and we never know what the other person is living, remember that. So, and then you just connect again, and if you start connecting, to you and to the rest from this detachment, perspective, and from the true essence, you are even getting more connected to life, okay? Because then you are seeing things differently as well, with a total different perspective. When nothing has happened, you still get only, the joy, like the love, whatever is there, you only get that. Then of course, some things have happened. This is what we are working on, okay? But maybe this is going to help to make this process easier when we are working on this healing in ourselves. So just sharing this with you, and I hope that this was helpful, and I'm looking forward to see you soon. Have a lovely week.